Hi, I'm JD Jeffrey, Museum Curator of the Windermere Valley Museum, and this is an Invermere history short. Today in the town of Invermere, we have a little building that has a lot of prominent history. It started in 1897 when a gentleman named Robert Randolph Bruce came to the valley. He came as a surveyor for the CPR and fell in love with the area. So he eventually went away with the job, but came back because he really did like the community a lot and decided to help develop the area. He started contacting a lot of the mines by investigating them, checking out what they had for sources of ore, and ended up buying his own. He bought the Paradise Mine that's located in the area and made a bit of a fortune for himself. At that time, he was a single gentleman doing what most gentlemen did, and his motto in life was to actually do a lot of the work. So when he was processing ore, the chemicals that they used actually caused him to lose his sight. So over the years, he ended up going to different places in Europe to see if he could rectify that. During his time in adventures, he ended up finding a lady. Her name was Lady Elizabeth Norcott, and married her in 1914. And they had planned to move here and live here because the valley was such a wonderful place. And as a gift to her, he decided to give her the Pynelogs building. And Pynelogs is named after the town that she originated from, which is Upton Pines. And before arriving, they had, from their honeymoon, they had started the building of Pynelogs. But the World War came, World War I, and things got put off because the men that were building it were needed in the mines to bring out the ore for ammunition. So when they arrived here, the building hadn't been finished, and they eventually had to purchase a steamboat that was decommissioned. And they lived off of that while their home was being built. The only downfall is Lady Elizabeth never did get to live in her home because in 1915, before the building was complete, she actually passed away. And the documents that we're able to read indicate that she had appendicitis, that in the area there wasn't any doctors, so she actually passed away from it. She actually was buried at the site of Pynelogs, and you can go to her memorial. There is a little gazebo that has her marker between Pynelogs and the lake itself, and it is the site of where she was buried because at that time when she passed away, the war was going on and it was easier to keep everything as it was instead of having to ship people back and forth, which was not really done often due to the war. And I guess the family did want to bury her on their site in England, but Bruce couldn't live without her. So he ended up burying her on the site, and they have a nice marker there that is kept up all the time. In the meantime, Robert Randolph Bruce completed his home and lived in it, but in time he didn't really stay there. He ended up still traveling and doing a lot of exploring and work for his businesses that he was trying to recruit people to move out here. He ended up getting a commission as our provincial lieutenant governor. Between 1912 and 1914, just before he got married, he actually was talking to the province about trying to get a highway built between Windermere and Banff, and which would bring in more people, tourism and things along that line. In about 1920s, they started building the highway, and with help from our Bruce's ambitions. And then in 1923, they actually opened the highway. So in this meantime, Pynelogs has been built. No one's really staying in it. And in 1937, they turned around and he decided to voluntarily donate Pynelogs to the community to be used as a hospital, which would be our third hospital in Invermere itself. very successful. It was used quite a bit. It was something that was prized, but they needed bigger hospitals. So they did build another one, and eventually Pynelogs was turned into an institution for mentally challenged people. And it was used as a living accommodations for them and worked out really well. But government changed their mind of where they were going to facilitate people, so eventually it stood empty. They moved it on, Pynelogs stood empty, and over time they turned around and turned it into a place called Columbia Valley Arts, and they use it as an art gallery as well as a little coffee shop, so you can have your lunches. And it's located right by the beach, so they have the ability to have a great little view during the summer. I'm J.D. Jeffrey, and this has been an Invermere History Short.